Welcome to the Development Pod, guys. Today I got a wonderful special guest, one of my adult mentors that I personally thank God for meeting. Y'all know Alan Levi Simmons, y'all know Nige Simmons, y'all know so many others that I probably put names out there. But there's this guy particularly that you probably know. He's interviewed me two times already on his podcast as well through IG Live, and his name is Sergeant Ford. He's a wonderful guy, wonderful speaker. He's a teacher. He's also owns his own media company. And, well, I'm going to let him speak everything on there. So, welcome, Sergeant Ford, to the show.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. You tell us, what inspired you to create Sergeant Ford Academy or the Fortified Media. That's how you call it?
Okay, so wow, you're actually the first person to ask me those questions. It's a long story. Started probably about almost 3 years ago. I got back from Qatar. Was in the military, serving overseas, and I realized that I had worked really long, hard hours for someone else, and I had nothing to show for it. So I got back here and I was looking at my social media and I'm like, you know what? How can I use this to bring awareness to entrepreneurship? Because I believe it's great to work for other people and help people out. But if you have a vision or something that God put on your heart, you got to do it yourself. You got to get out there as an entrepreneur and just do it. So I realized that I had to start something. And I realized that I have a passion for working with young people, passion for working with media, whether it's online or broadcast or print. And I love promoting what they do. So I'm like, you know what? How can I put all this together? And I love teaching financial literacy. So it was like, let me narrow it down: financial literacy, working with young people, entrepreneurship. And the two kind of came together, and Sergeant Ford Academy kind of, was birthed out of that.
Yep. And now it's helped you a lot, and you've now learned a lot of experiences, not just from me, but also other young people, entrepreneurs, guitarists, everything. Because I see you interview so many different people. So with that particularly, what can you say about interviewing different people, talking with them, learning? Like, what can you share to us what you learned through all of this so far?
Wow. I can definitely say that young people inspire me. They inspire me because they're fearless and they just do it. You know what I mean? When you get older, you start looking at your past failures and look at stuff that didn't work and who said this and who said that. And all the young entrepreneurs that I've interviewed ignore all that stuff and they just do it. And I'm looking at them now. Some of them are national. Some of them have been on, TV shows and things like that. And I'm like, this is phenomenal. And they're like less than 18 years old and they just inspire me to keep going because it's like there's times when I'm like, well, I don't have that many likes, I don't have that many followers, don't have that many views, no one's calling me up to collab and all that other stuff. And I look at you guys, I'm like, you guys are why I do what I do, and you're inspiring me to keep going despite what I may see or not see, and it just motivates me to keep going. So I all the young entrepreneurs that I've interviewed so far, and it's probably been almost 300 at this point,
Mm.
just inspire me to just keep going. You guys just motivate me, and like I said, you're fearless. You don't care. It's like you see something and you just do it. And if it don't work, it don't work. You move on to something else, but you don't stop doing it. And many of those who I followed from almost 3 years ago, I see them where they are now, and some of them are in college, still doing the same thing. They're at a different level. Some of them are doing national, international things, and it really just motivates me just to keep seeing you guys. So whenever I feel down, I feel like I can't do it. Aside from praying, spending some time with God, I look at you guys, and you just keep me motivated.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's really awesome. And all what you said there, especially when you said that part fearless, just keep saying that. It made me
Yeah,
thought of this next question here to you, which is what can you say to generations? Like I know that I think you referenced your generation X, right? And you talked about how I remember we both talked about this on an interview when you interviewed me, how different generations see different things. Like some
yeah,
generations see that traditional jobs are the only way. Some generations see
yeah,
that working your passions is the only way. Some people see it that maybe working your passion should be a side hustle and you should do full time at working for someone else. When in reality, you don't need to really work for someone else. You should do your dreams and goals because
yeah.
9 to 5 route is either something temporary or for some young people, if they get success early, they don't have to do it at all. So, what's your perception on that particular subject with generations, point of views, and everything like that? Like, what do you have to really say about that? I don't really know how to ask that, but you may know how to answer the audience.
The best way I can answer that is your gift will make room for you,
Mm,
and that comes from the Bible. And it's interesting because I've read that several times before, and I never really thought about what it meant. I have 3 degrees. I've been 4 branches of military service. I have 24 years of service retired, and all that's great. But my gift is the thing that brings me before great men and women. It's the thing that God put in me. It's the thing that He gave me to give to the world. And if I don't
mm,
put my heart and soul into that, then I'm limiting myself. So
yeah,
even with the military experience, even with working in education for 20 years, um, all the different things that I've done, until I totally 100% pour myself into what God gave me to give to other people, I'm going to stay limited. And
mm,
just between you and me, I don't want to be limited no more. Like I said, I'm inspired
yeah,
by you guys, and it's like it's time for me to just to jump full head steam, just jump into what God called me to do, and
yeah.
it's never too late. Um, so I'm excited about my next chapter. I'm excited about my next chapter. What I would encourage other people to do, young people, old people, whomever, is whatever that gift is, that's where your wealth is attached to. That's where your success is attached to. It's not attached to a job unless that job is preparing you and give you some skills that you need to really benefit you in the long run. But it's not for you to get comfortable and stay there. So
Mm.
I would encourage them, whatever it is, your gift, your talent, whatever God gave you, jump into that thing, master it. Get some mentors, practice, do what you need to do so that it'll bring you truly in front of great men and women. It's not going to be your education. It's not even necessarily going to be the people that you know. It's going to be once people see and they hear about what you're doing and they see the fruit, it's like, oh, we want him on our team. We want to know, can we collab with him? Can we do this with this person? Your fruit is going to be the thing that draws people. Because if you look at about it, if you think about a tree, right? If you see an
Mm-hmm.
apple tree, what's your unction? You see an apple tree, what do you do?
You're gonna eat the apple, right?
Yeah, you approach the apple tree, right? You approach the apple because you can see it from a distance and you can see the
Yeah.
evidence of the fact that it produces apples on it. So it's going to
Mm-hmm.
draw you. So once people see what you're capable of doing, that's going to draw people closer to you. They're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to pay you to do what it is that you do naturally. So I would say to young people, just go all out. Whatever it is, whether you're a writer, whether you're a baker, you cut hair, you write books, whatever it is that you do, jump right into it and don't look back.
That's a good one right all by itself, Sergeant Ford. I really appreciate that one. My
Sure,
next,
sure.
yes, sir. My next question is: you talk about people doing what they're doing. You say you've seen the young people do what they did, and inspire you to move forward. It allowed you to have an open mindset and not to be limited. But when you talked about people networking, individuals find that one person, for anybody who's listening to this podcast, who's probably trying to look for somebody to network with, somebody to find who's like them, like minded, rather if it's a mentor or a friend or somebody or a supporter, what can you say to them on how to find that like minded individual?
That's a good question. I believe in a lot of cases they'll find you. I think it's really important to seek out mentors who've done or who are doing what you want to do. It may not be exactly to the T, what you're doing or what you plan to do, but you'll find someone who's. I'll give an example. When I first joined the Air National Guard, I had been out of the military for about 7 years, and prior to that, I was in the Army National Guard. And the Army and the Air Force are totally different. Different mentalities, different focus, different mission, everything. So when I got into the Air Force, I thought that I could do everything that I had done in the previous branches, the Army included. And I realized that things were totally different. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me seek out a mentor, somebody that can help me navigate this new platform that I'm on.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I sought out a gentleman who had been in. He outranked me. Obviously, he had more experience, and I sought him out. And I was like, you know what? You teach me. How do I? What? I told him what I had been doing, and he said, you came in, too strong. Some people don't like that. He said, my advice to you is kind of get in and just kind of observe, for a while. Take some notes, see how things work, how they operate, and then slowly but surely start implementing change. And I was like, okay, all right. I took that to heart, and it's worked for me ever since. Um, so mentors are key. I believe sometimes you need to seek them out. And I think sometimes it'll just happen. It'll just line up where they meet you somewhere. And it's because maybe they heard something about you or your reputation preceded yourself or what have you. But I think if you know someone definitely who's doing what you like to do, or in that same arena, that industry, or whatever it is, seek them out. Um, but in some cases, just keep doing you, and you guys will wind up meeting each other.
Yep, that's so true. And then when you talked about how that guy had the experience, when you talked about also how you got to put yourself out there, at least
Mhm.
my next question is, with you doing social media, what can you tell somebody right now? Because I know you know social media just as well as I know social media. What could you tell somebody right now who's looking forward to getting themselves out there? Which is number one, they need to make a social media account. So let me stop
Yeah.
being a random over bush here. Get to the point. What can you tell somebody how to do a social media account? What would you want to tell them how to get themselves out there?
Good question. I would say it depends on who your audience is.
Mm,
Um, so based on what it is that you do, where where are they? Are they on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube? Wherever your audience is, that's where you need to go. So if most of the people that you're reaching on YouTube, then you need to create a YouTube account, and set that up. If
yep,
most of the people are on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or X or whatever, wherever your audience is, that's where you need to go. And if they're on a
yep,
combination of different ones, then you need to have multiple accounts on different platforms. But
mhm,
I would say do a little research first and find out where your audience is. Where
mhm.
your target market is. If they're not there, then I wouldn't waste your time, because it takes a lot of work keeping these accounts up, posting and
Yeah.
all that stuff and editing videos. I thought it was easy. And I'm looking at quality of some of the work that a lot of these guys are putting out. I'm like, okay, I don't know how they have time to do that. But then I learned a lot of them starting to batch, they'll do like, I don't know, 100, not 100 videos, but they'll do maybe like 10 videos, and then
Yeah.
they'll time it so that, this one comes out on this date, this one comes out on that date. So they're
Mhm,
not doing it all the time, but they're smart. They're making good use of their time, and they may
mhm.
spend maybe a weekend just knocking out videos.
Yep.
And I learned that along the way. I thought, they were up every day, posting or whatever, but they're not. So, number one, I would find where your audience is and put most of your effort there. So if they're on
Uh-huh.
TikTok, then get on TikTok. Now, I don't know how much
Mhm.
longer TikTok's going to be around, but get wherever they are. That's where you need to go. Put your energy and your effort toward that platform or those platforms, and you should be good to go. You should be good to go. Because if not, you're wasting time and energy, and your audience is not there. Like for an example, and I was told, I don't know how true this is, but some of my students would tell me, she said, Facebook's for older people. So, okay. So I
That
was
doesn't
like, well,
make you
my
happy. That is
audience,
true. Because
yeah,
a lot of people my age, we like to say it's for people in their 40s or 30s. I don't even see people
exactly.
who are in their 40s as old, man. I see them as still like middle aged, young. Once you're like in
Yeah,
your 50s or 60s, I see you. You know, you're getting up there. You're wiser now. But you're wise any age,
yeah.
but you're getting real wise.
I got you. And they told me that. I
Yeah,
was like, okay, well, let me stop putting effort into Facebook. Everybody's on TikTok and Instagram, so let me do that.
yeah,
So yeah, you gotta know where your audience is, and you gotta go where they are. I mean, it's like, if you have a store, what part of town are you gonna put your store in? If you're selling high fashion clothing, you might not put it, in certain areas of the city. But yeah, just be smart about it. Do your research, find out where your audience is, and put your effort into those platforms.
that's a good way to think of it. And also to add in some pointers with you, and add into to the audience as well, is that some of these YouTubers I've seen a lot too. They started from like how I'm doing now, solo style. They started with their own content, doing everything, but then they build
Yeah.
up eventually by having teams. Even with clothing
Yes.
brands like me right now, I have my own merch for the podcast. If y'all want to check it out, links down below. But
Yeah.
I personally am doing these things alone. I made this book alone too. Now, in a way, I would say it's not all alone because I got God right here, man. God is the best man, the best person out there to help me support. I had him, I had you, I had other supporters as well, relative or
Right.
friends wise, and that all helped out as well. But the main person who did it was me. And I made a video about it recently. You can do these things, you can make social media and everything, but you gotta have the support. And like you say, you gotta find that audience. And support
Yeah.
can't be your family, can't be your close friends, but you already know that. So you won't get people who you don't even know out there to get you real first
Right.
because you have the relatives, you have the friends, they're going to help you. But those outsiders that you don't know are even better because now you're getting people that don't even know you to know you even more. It's just like saying if it's a basketball player. At one point, I didn't know who Steph Curry was. Now I know who Steph Curry is. But you know who knew Steph Curry before Steph Curry was Steph Curry? His parents, his cousins probably. And
Right.
so just reference that real life example with you as well, audience, if you're trying to grow out there and develop yourself. Now, number two, I want to say with you too, you're talking about editing. Editing ain't really that hard like how it used to be if you use CapCut. Because for me, I
Right.
personally use CapCut. Even with this video, this will be edited through CapCut as well because it has this new thing they added since last year, which is called transcript editing. Because now, like,
Okay.
basically, if you're talking, it can delete the quiet parts or like the parts where you messed up. And all you gotta do is just press the word, delete it, boom. Half of your video is already edited. You don't have to even do it manually.
Nice.
You don't have to do it by clicking it. You just click
Nice.
it by your dialogue, which is better because like if I'm saying it will cut it
Right.
off immediately, and so then boom, I'm already good. So in a way, content creation has become way easier, especially with AI
Yeah.
coming in with everything, and that goes back, like I said too earlier, when we referencing jobs. Even with jobs, those are being taken away because of AI. And even
Yeah.
with that as well, you know, you can learn more maybe through AI or through YouTube of real person talking than probably
Hmm.
going to a 4 year college. You know, not telling no one
Right.
else that it's bad to go to college, it's bad to get the job. They can do whatever they want to do, and there's no
Hmm.
bad thing about it. But we're just looking at the pros and the cons of both sides because there are
Right.
pros and cons of having your own business, but there are pros and cons of working under a business or working or going to school. Like, so
Hmm.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. But everything you
Yeah.
said out there is very true. And one more thing, I'm gonna let you speak there because you're the guest. I don't want to overtalk you, but TikTok, I heard is planning on getting banned because you know I think I heard that if I'm not mistaken, Joe Biden signed a law that's gonna ban it. So I think we only got about till like the end of December, early January till this thing actually is completely gone. And
Right.
that's kind of sad because for you personally, you want to get the youth. I want to get the youth. And most of the youth is through TikTok. And if not TikTok, number two is Instagram. But Instagram is very hard to grow. Very TikTok, because TikTok and YouTube they're a little bit more easier.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, that's all I just wanted to cover up. If you have anything to say that, you can. But what you're about to say earlier, you can say that as well. You got the floor now.
Yeah. So I totally agree. I've loved this journey. I'm a full time teacher, but I spend hours, sharing content, producing content for young people. And just the feedback that I've gotten, and even like to this day, people are liking and subscribing and sharing and stuff. And I'll get stuff in my DMs. I it took me a while to get here, and like I said, there was a time when I was like, you know what, is this even worth it? Does anybody watching? Does anybody care? And then I would definitely encourage anyone who's starting on any of these platforms to just keep going. And as you're going, improve. Like you were saying, AI. Don't be afraid of the new technology. I think older folks like myself and older, they get afraid. They're like, okay, we can't use this, we can't use that. I'm in a battle over here with phone usage in schools. And I'm trying to let them know that if you incorporate it into the lesson, it no longer becomes a distraction. You
Yep,
can use it because we as adults use it. And I've been just kind of walking around town and just taking pictures of different ways that we use our phone outside of school settings. And it's like, how much sense does it make to say you can use a phone everywhere else but school? You
that's what I'm
use it
saying.
to, I mean, you use it for plane tickets, use it for movie tickets, you
Yep.
use it to pay for food. I mean, you use it. Everyone has a QR code that you got to scan for something, and I'm
Oh
like,
yes.
it's all around us. So why can't we incorporate that in school? That way it no longer, because it's like the number one distraction. Across the board, every school was fighting this thing, and I'm like,
Mhm.
how are we intelligent? How do we have all these degrees and all this training, and we can't come up with a simple solution how to deal with phones other than say just put them away?
Yep.
There's got to be another way to do it. And I came to this conclusion probably about 2 years ago. When I got back from guitar, I was we have like these Chrome books, these Chrome cart books that the Chrome cart goes from one class to the next. And I was scheduled to have it for my classroom that day, and someone else took it, and I really needed it because they had an assignment that required the Chrome books. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? School had a policy against using the phone, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just use the phone. Guys, pull your phones out because I had them drawing the layers of the skin. I was teaching sports medicine at the time. And I walked around that classroom and every single student was engaged. They were using the phone. They were going to different websites. They were trying to trace the layers of the skin. They were propping up their phones and trying to draw the layers of the skin. Everybody was engaged. And I'm like, what is wrong with us that we can't do this? It can be done. I mean, it's just like, It's their device. They know how to use it. Even if they don't have the device, we can have, still a couple of Chromebooks off to the side that students, can use. But good 95% of the students have a phone. So why not incorporate that into the lesson so that it's no longer a distraction? That's the end of that. We can just, because I can guarantee you, and there's always going to be one or two in every class, but I can guarantee you a good 95% or more of the class is going to be engaged in the assignment. If they have to go to different websites, if they have to go to their calendar to put in due dates, if they have to, scan a QR code for an exit ticket, it can be done. And it bothers me that all these people with all this education are so closed minded that they don't want to move. I mean, I saw something about a week ago. It's a pen. It's like AI pen or something, and you
Oh,
tap it and it takes pictures. And you tap it, and
what?
if you have almonds in your hand, it'll tell you how many calories that those almonds are. And I'm like, and we're worried about a phone? I mean, our jobs are in jeopardy right here. I mean, because all the core subjects, all that stuff can be done online without us.
Yep.
AI can take care of all that.
Hmm.
So I think we need to embrace it and go along with it and use it. And that number one distraction can be our number one helpmate. You know what I mean? In the classroom, if we just utilize it. And I think yeah, it can be done. It can be done
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I think that when you go back to number one distraction, which is the phone, you said that some people think it is that are mostly of the educational field think that's a distraction. I think our biggest distraction actually is the fact that nobody wants to move forward, like you just said. And
There you go.
it's
There you go.
sad because not just even with the phones, because they're doing that locally where I'm at too, in my district. Thank God,
Mhm.
hey, I'm already a graduate. I have the thing I have right here. I have my diploma, so hey, I'm certified to be a graduate. But
There you go.
but I'm just saying that these next few kids, they're gonna have to deal with this in the next few years where like you're going to have no phones or like you're gonna have to not have this XYZ. But like you say, they use QR codes for different things, even school events. And
Yeah.
also, like what's crazy as well is just that with TikTok too, how that's gonna be gone as well because even the people, not trying to speak bad about, but just being honest, people at the White House or wherever it is, the congressman, whoever it is, I don't know how to name the politicians, I already call them, but why are you taking TikTok away when that's actually educating some people too? There are some stuff on TikTok that are bad now. I've seen it personally at my high school. I just graduated at, which is Fort Chester. There are plenty of people who will take
Yeah.
TikTok the wrong way too and look at these bad trends and everything. But
Yeah.
in a way, if you look at it from the right perspective, from a good perspective, positive perspective, TikTok is not really a bad thing, and it helped a lot of people, especially through COVID, when they were trying to make money, either as a
Yeah.
side hustle or a
Yeah.
full time job. Because out of all
Definitely.
social media platforms, TikTok was at the time the fastest one. Now TikTok is starting to be like these other social media platforms. It's kind of hard to grow, but if you know how to
Right.
utilize it, like you referenced earlier, you can get your stuff out there. And so, like I say, man, it's just sad, but in a way, some of these stuff are maybe from the schools, but I think most of it comes back to what we say is, and not trying to speak bad against them, but it's the government, because it's just that they want to have it a certain way to be like
Yeah.
how it is back then, or they may want to pull down people from doing good things. And I'm not saying that that's what everybody at the White House or anybody's doing, but that's
Yeah.
what it seems like some of them are doing because none of this is really bad if you think about it. Halfly or most of it, it's good and it's good to evolve. Just like
Yeah.
what even the jobs, like that's good you have robots because certain things humans shouldn't do, like certain labor stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's bad that like some jobs are being took away because maybe some people may need that normal 9 to 5 to just get through to live. But
Right.
hey, if it's helping out, it's helping out. But I just think, other matter of fact, is rather if it's AI to robots to TikTok trends to your phone,
Right.
people gotta look at the pros and the cons, yes, but just let it go. Let it go in, let it flow, and let it see what it does in our
Yeah.
society. Because when you let it continue to do what it does in our society, it can help it better. But you have people at the top keep on trying to they use it's a trend they use in my generation. I forgot how they say it now. I don't know the word they use, but it's called when they're like trying to defend something. I forgot that word, but I don't worry about it. I'll just say this. When everybody's trying to defend the future, you're gonna make it a little bad. But I liked all the pointers you were saying there, Sergeant
Yeah.
Ford. And you have anything else to say on that topic before we move on to the next question?
Yeah. Go to the next question.
So the
Okay.
next question is, I saw your YouTube channel recently. You're trying to expand on YouTube because you're mostly on Instagram and through
Yes.
social media. So do you have any like goals or anything that you're trying to do to expand? And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh, great questions. I chose YouTube. I did a poll to see how many people wanted me to do, I guess, more in depth teaching on YouTube, and a lot of people, like 97%, wanted me to do that. So I was like, let me go ahead and start this YouTube channel. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and with me working full time, I haven't had the chance to put that level of quality content out there consistently. So in the next 5 years, I definitely want to have a channel that can be used for financial literacy, like in the classrooms. Teachers can use it. They can use the YouTube videos, the links, and what have you, to just teach their kids financial literacy. Parents can use it too. So if your kids are at home, hey, pop in, go to YouTube, type in Sergeant Ford Academy, and learn, what stocks and bonds are. Talk about interest rates and all that type of stuff. I just want it to be a platform where young people can learn, because I'm not going to fight the battle with the Department of Education or with the government. I believe that every school from kindergarten, from pre-K on up to college, should have financial literacy. Start them off by
Yes.
counting pennies and nickels and dimes or whatever, and move them up to how the tax code works. It's a crime that we send young people out, and I'll just put this out there to educators. This is the one thing that we need to stop saying. We're getting them prepared for the future. That's a lie. We ain't doing that. We're getting them prepared for the state test, for the SAT, for whatever. And after that, you're on your own. And that's a crime against humanity as far as I'm concerned. There's no child that should spend 12 years in school and get out and not know how to budget and not know how to, pay bills or not know how to invest. It's a crime that we do that, and we keep bragging about, all these courses and classes that we have. But it depends on what you're doing. There's a possibility you might use trigonometry. There's a possibility that you might use, certain classes, but it's a guarantee that you're going to use money. So the fact that we don't teach that is really a crime. So I want Sergeant Ford Academy, the Facebook page, and some other projects that we're working on. I want young people to have access to that so that they can learn how to live and how to break the cycle of poverty and things of that nature. It always concerned me that, especially in the educational realm, we talk about, kids who are free and reduced lunch, and, their parents are low income. If you're working with that population, the number one thing that you should be doing is teaching them how to no longer be low income. And that starts with financial literacy. It
Mhm.
doesn't start with you trying to get them into college, which is great. I got 3 degrees. I totally get it. But even with those 3 degrees, I had to teach myself financial literacy.
Mhm.
So we got some things to work on, and hopefully, Sergeant Ford Academy can put a dent in the ignorance that we have that's run rampant throughout the United States as it relates to financial literacy.
Yeah, and that's so true because financial literacy is important, and even families is important because I didn't really know about financial literacy till I actually went to my class sophomore year, and that's the reason why I was virtual actually because I was supposed to be in person my sophomore year, but I was
Right.
virtual because that class was only exclusive virtually, and I said, let me go get that
Oh,
right now because I know that that's financial literacy. Let me go do that. So I'm glad I did that
right.
at that time, and I did learn a little bit of financial literacy before going to my sophomore year, but sophomore year that taught me everything like apartments, credit card
Yes.
bills, all
Yep.
this stuff. And so I'm grateful and blessed, and that's why I met
Yeah.
you. It was even more of a blessing because hey, it was like blessing on blessings. There's a song
Yeah.
called "Blessings of Blessings," something like that. I forgot what it said. What do you want your legacy to be?
Wow. It's a powerful question right there. Hmm. What do I want my legacy to be? Um, I would say, and again, I got to go back to my roots of the Bible. I want my children's children to be blessed, and I want everyone who's come in contact with me and my work to be impacted by what I've done. So it's not about me, but I want, even when I hear students say, "Hey, did you take Sergeant Ford's class? I learned this, this, and that." To me, that means more to me than any award that a teacher can get, anything like that. Um, just the fact that I impacted a student's life and they were able to share with another student what they learned.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the legacy is really just passing on the information, making sure that my children's children are set, that they know financial literacy. I believe every family should have time where they sit down and talk about the budget, talk about, stocks and bonds, talk about, let's invest in this and things of that nature. The wealthy people do it, and that's why they're wealthy. And I believe if everyone knows this secret that they've kind of withheld from us for years, we'd be all right. The wealth would be common. It'd be common to, go to college debt free. It'll be common to, understand how the stock market works and what, how to
Yeah.
follow the stocks and things of that nature. It would be common to know how to flip a home and invest in things like that. I just want my legacy to be that I left this earth and taught a lot of people how important financial literacy was to the point that they incorporate it into their lives for generations to come. No,
Yes,
you
sir.
good.
I understand that completely. I
Yeah,
respect that, and that's wonderful, man. That's what you want your legacy to be, which is incredible, and it's grateful that you go from the Word because we all need God in our lives to
yeah.
help us go forward and motivate us to keep on doing what we need to do. It was a pleasure having you as a guest, Sergeant Ford. Y'all,
Thank you so much.
guys, gals, make sure to check him out. He's on Instagram. He's on everything, and links will be down below to go check out all his content. Thank you once again,
Okay.
Sergeant Ford, for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir, for having me.
Yes,
You have
sir.
a great day.